So here are the list of every material, or the materials that I used to prepare for myself for the Nclex, and in no particular order. The first huge material that I used was the Soundest Comprehensive Nclex Review for RN, Nclex RN. That's the 9th edition. That's the one that I used. And I made sure to read that book. About 70 to 80% of the book, I made sure to read it, because as I said in my earlier video, it has been a long time since I left, school, and I had gone into advanced practice in anesthesia. And so at the end of the day, you might think that you are in advanced practice and so you know the information, but Nclex is not like that. You need to go back to the fundamentals. And so I made sure to read. I read that book thoroughly, about 80%, as I would say. So I'm going to attach how the book looks like onto this video. And then the second huge test material that I used is the Remanes V2. Remanes V2 takes you kind of like back to the classroom. It's a series of lectures, virtual recorded lectures, where you have to listen to and then take note. And so whilst listening to the lectures, I was also taking note. And so that, combined with the Nclex, the Soundest textbook, really gave me an insight into how the topics that you needed to know for the Nclex. Of course, you wouldn't be able to know all the, you wouldn't be able to say concretely that these are the topics, but there are some very important topics that need to be known. And so Rema did just that. And then the very huge one that everybody would have to, it's been spoken about a lot, and I'm also going to add my voice to it. That is the Klimek review lectures. It's a series of 12 it's a 12 series lectures, and it comes with 8 lecture notes. I have it, and what I did was I made sure I wasn't just listening to the audios. I would open the lecture notes and then look for whichever lecture that I was listening to, and then I'll read the lecture notes word to word as he says it. And those lectures, oh my God, it's a must have. And if you have it and you are sleeping on it, then I'm telling you, you're not getting the information that you need to go sit the Nclex. And then also another huge and very important, because the question bank that you use is also very important on how you are going to get the perspectives of the Nclex. And so Nclex Bootcamp, I would 101% recommend Nclex Bootcamp. Of course, there are other question banks out there that people are very well aware of, but Nclex Bootcamp, she's relatively new in the game, but everyone that has used it, all the reviews, I made sure to look at the reviews here before even going for it. But I'll tell you that I never regretted it. I mean, once you go through her, she has a lot of case studies there. And on my test, I had about 6 or 7, yeah, I'll say about 7 case studies. And the more case studies that you get, the more chances, or the higher chance that you have of passing. That's what people say, because in order for you to progress to the kind of advanced questions, you need to get the fundamentals right. And so if you were able to get the fundamentals, and then the test elevated you to the case studies section, then you know, okay, you have a higher chance of passing. Not to say that everyone who gets a lots of case studies would pass, but at least that is what I also have heard most people talk about it. She has about 50 case studies. She has 3 pre-assessment tests there, and so according to her, once you pass the first and second, then you have a very high chance of passing the test. And so Soundest Comprehensive Review, Rema V2, Klimek Review Notes, and also the Nclex Bootcamp question bank. I remember I subscribed for 3 months, but I used it for like 2 months and made sure that I was like really ready before going for the test. And so those are in a nutshell, that's the material that I used for the test, and I would also recommend to everyone. And lastly, I also made sure to listen to a lot on YouTube, and the biggest YouTube channel that really helped me especially if you don't want to waste time listening to like topics that you have already listened to in the lecture series on either Rima or on Klimek Review. Then I would also recommend Klimek Review YouTube channel by Dr. Sharon. That lady is a great professor. She was also, according to her, trained by Klimek, and so she takes you straight to the point. She doesn't like kind of treat topics. What she does is, if she takes, let's say, hypertension, she will answer about 15 questions on the hypertension, Nclex style questions, and then she will tell you how to cite the right answers, and or how to, you know, strike out the wrong answers. And so Dr. Sharon's channel, there are other channels around that people listen to, but for her, I feel like she goes straight to the point. You don't also have to sit there listening to about 30 minutes long, or let's say 1 hour long video before getting the information that you need. So these are basically the resources that I used, and I would also 100% recommend to everyone. Of course, your resources alone is not enough. How? First of all, if you're a spiritual person, you pray about it. You pray that God should guide you, be able to, you know, retain all the information that you are learning, and most importantly, have that retention memory. You know, once you get into the test, you don't forget things because of nervousness. I think I should do a different video on some of the strategies that I use that I think like helps me, but also how long you study, because I was studying for not less than 3 days in a week, and 3 hours in a day. I would go to the library and make sure to sit down. There were times I could go like 4 or 5 hours in a day, especially when it was about between 5 to 6 weeks to the test. I made sure that I really studied intensively, and so that's all I did to get me through. Yeah.